Now, knowing you, I know that you're aware of the things that people are saying. You're moving up in two-weight classes. You're the smaller man. Whatever you do, Terence Crawford, don't exchange against him. What do you feel you have to do?
Be myself. I'm 41-0 for a reason.
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career.
For over 20 years, boxing fans believed one thing was untouchable: Floyd Mayweather's flawless 52-0 record. He was the Phantom of the Ring, a defensive wizard who made legends look ordinary. But then, one night changed everything. A single explosive statement coming from the only man to fight both Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez threatened to shatter that legacy. Suddenly, the question wasn't just who's better. It was whether Mayweather's entire era had just been eclipsed. And it all began when Terence Crawford's hand was raised in victory over Canelo, after a masterclass few believed possible.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight.
But the real earthquake came after the fight. In the press room, cameras flashing, microphones waiting. The question was asked: how does Crawford compare to Floyd Mayweather? And with the world's media hanging on his every word, Canelo Alvarez didn't hesitate.
If you can, compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence "Bud" Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
This wasn't just opinion. This was testimony from the only fighter alive who had stood across the ring from both men. His words detonated like a bombshell, sparking a debate that had been simmering for years. Suddenly, the entire boxing world leaned in, and one voice, more powerful than most, was ready to dive into the fire. Stephen A. Smith, watching from the sidelines. He expected Crawford to box safely from distance, dancing around the bigger, stronger Alvarez, but that's not what happened.
Well, I appreciate Crawford making my prediction come through. Coming into the fight, I had him winning by decision. I thought he was the superior boxer. I thought he would be able to take a punch. And as long as he didn't stay there and exchange with Canelo, I thought he could do it. What surprised me is that there were times during the fight, he did stand there and exchange with Canelo and took it. Took some body shots to the liver, took some headshots, exchanged, and still ended up winning this fight. I thought from the 8th round on, he just put on a boxing clinic. I gotta give credit where credit is due. Crawford deserved to win the fight.
To Smith's astonishment, Crawford didn't just survive. He walked into the fire. He exchanged, he answered power with precision, and refused to back down. What I didn't expect, Smith admitted, was for him to stand there, take Canelo's shots, and fire back. Round after round, Crawford absorbed the storm and returned it with fury. By the 9th, Smith had it 5-4 for Crawford. And then, the smaller man flipped the switch. In the championship rounds, Crawford unleashed a clinic dominating decisively, thriving in moments where lesser fighters would have crumbled.
Crawford is a special fighter because he's got a mean streak. He doesn't back up from anything. He's usually the superior boxer in the ring. He finds a way to win. No matter who he's going up against, no matter what power you have, what boxing skills you have, he is truly a generational kind of fighter. He wants to go in the ring and not just beat you, but show you he was a better man. And he's not going to believe that just a knockout does that. He likes outboxing you and showing you that his skill level is superior to yours. And he showed it tonight.
Smith called it a performance dripping with heart, intelligence, and courage. But even with all the praise, Smith hesitated, because, in his mind, one ghost still lingered. A different kind of master, a phantom who moved through the ring untouched. A man Crawford, for all his brilliance, still wasn't.
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career with one hand. He constantly broke his hand.
Yeah.
He would go into a ring, knowing he had no shot at knocking somebody out because his hands were hurt too much, and literally walked in the ring and said, I'm going to embarrass you and humiliate you by showing the world you can't hit me.
And this is where Smith drew the line. His voice cut through the noise, making a distinction that changes everything. Floyd Mayweather, he reminded the world, was a defensive enigma, a magician whose very philosophy was to win without being hit. His brittle hands, damaged, fragile, and plagued with pain through the second half of his career, meant Floyd could never rely on knockout power. That wasn't speculation. That was fact, etched into medical reports and interviews.
Floyd Mayweather looks me in my face and he says, I'm gonna take him out about the 8th or 9th round. And I said, your hands are always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're gonna do this? He said, Stephen A., he's a UFC fighter. He said, and he's a striker. He's accustomed to coming at you and throwing punches. What he's not accustomed to doing is punching while he's throwing backwards, while he's moving backwards and pushing you off of him. He says, I'm gonna walk right into him and stay in his chest. He's gonna have to push me off in order to throw his punches. He said he's gonna be circling the ring. He said by around 4 or 5, he's not gonna have any legs. He's gonna be done. And he said, and I'll just toy with him and keep him around until around the 8th or the 9th round. And that is exactly what Floyd Money Mayweather did. He told me exactly what he was gonna do, and he did it.
Mayweather himself admitted it. His hands were, in his own words, real brittle. Before the Conor McGregor fight, he revealed he couldn't spar for an entire month because of the damage.
You hurt your hand? Huh? I thought you hurt your hand. That's myself. Okay. All right. Relax, baby. The job is done. All right. Put in a bucket of ice, man. Yeah. I'll get a bucket of ice. Kill him.
I'm saying Shane hit me with a hell of a shot. Okay. Actually, 2 shots.
Oh, okay.
But even in that particular round, what I said to Shane was this. I was like,
you dead self said something to him when you grabbed him.
I said, you gotta kill me.
Oh shit. I wasn't ready, bro. I
said that was a good one. And I said that was a good one, but you gotta kill me.
Wow.
So you gotta kill me. And did I mean I'm not gonna lie, I meant it.
And the controversy doesn't end there. Reports suggest that, in the twilight of his career, Floyd fought almost exclusively in Las Vegas, one of the rare places where fighters are allowed numbing injections like xylocaine for hand pain. That choice wasn't coincidence. It was strategy. His hands couldn't break opponents down anymore, so Floyd perfected a new weapon. He became untouchable.
No, not seriously, no. Why would Floyd be considered the GOAT? Because he beat more fighters than Rocky did, more great ones? That's true. But really, Floyd was careful in the way he selected opponents. Don't get that twist. It's not that Floyd didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He did. It's not that I don't think he would have beaten a lot of the tougher fighters that he fought. I think he probably would have, but he didn't do it. He waited. He waited till Pacquiao wasn't at his best anymore. He didn't fight Margarito when Margarito was tearing everyone up. He waited for the right time to fight people. He got paid twice as much for fighting Pacquiao in a less dangerous fight than he would have had he fought him when everyone wanted to see him fight. Floyd is among the all-time greats, but he ain't number one.
Trainer Greg Hackett echoed that same sentiment. He pointed out that the Floyd who fought Canelo wasn't just sharp, he was complete, polished, untouchable. Crawford, in his eyes, fought with brilliance, but also with flashes of wildness. It was control versus chaos, precision versus risk.
I can't say he's capping. I can't, because I don't know what he felt. But when I heard that, what I think is, when Floyd beat me, I was 23, I wasn't polished. When Bud beat me, I was the man. I was the man. And he beat me fair and square. He beat me at my game and he beat me at his game. That's why Canelo said that. Do I believe that? It's tough to believe. But I can only take Canelo's word because he's the man that's been in the ring with both of them. But I understand why he said it. I was a kid when I fought Floyd. He wasn't a kid literally, but he was young. He was young. There was a lot he didn't know. There was a lot he didn't understand about boxing that he later on learned and got better. But Bud beat the better version of me, even though it's the ran down version. I'm saying that because it is some wear and tear there with Canelo. I've been saying it the whole time. When a guy got almost 70 fights in current time, with all those big camps he's been doing and all that, trust me, it's some wear and tear there. I'm not making excuses for Canelo. I'm just saying.
I don't know. That's what it gives it that air.
I also think you got to remember when you talk about a Mexican fighter, they big on punishment. He might also feel Crawford punches harder than Floyd and took more chances than Floyd took. Floyd really was super speed that night. Like, everything speed. And it irritated Canelo because Canelo couldn't do what he wanted to do. And he looked nothing like himself. Like I said, I think it was just times where Canelo felt like, damn, I could have had him. With Floyd, I think he felt like paralyzed. Like, damn, I can't catch this motherfucker. He too fast. But with Crawford, I felt like he maybe was saying, damn, I could have, if I would have threw this or if I would have did that. You know what I mean? Because it was times Crawford sat there and caught a punch and countered back. You know what I'm saying? He let Canelo throw, like, go ahead, throw your shit. He caught that shit, boom, and come right back with the hook. The same shot he caught Earl with. He was touching Canelo with some of that same shit, man. And it was just like, and it was times where Crawford was imposing himself on Canelo. He was stepping to Canelo at times. He didn't do it the whole fight, but I'm just saying it was times he stepped to him. Floyd did too, but Floyd just was so fast, so much faster, and the education was like totally different. Like when Canelo fought Floyd, Canelo was in middle school. He wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? Floyd by that time was already a Harvard graduate. You know what I'm saying? So.
And then came Stephen A. Smith's own words.
I can't say that. I think that Floyd Mayweather was such a magician defensively. And we have to look at Floyd Money Mayweather in this regard. Once he moved up to welterweight, his hands were always damaged. So he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to knock you out for the most part. And still, he walked into the ring and put on masterful performances because he was so superior, skill-wise and defensively. You can't say enough. Tonight with Crawford, for example, we saw him take a punch on several occasions. With Floyd, we didn't see that too often because you couldn't hit him. That's the difference.
Crawford, Smith argued, proved his chin, his toughness, his warrior's heart. But that's exactly where the line was drawn. Mayweather never had to prove toughness because he rarely let opponents touch him at all. Crawford had walked through fire, yes, but the fact that he needed to was the very reason Smith refused to equate him with Floyd. Still, the debate soon shifted to a bigger stage. Many began insisting this wasn't just about fighters, it was about eras. Even Crawford himself stepped in with humility. Floyd is the best fighter of his era, he admitted, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in mine.
And it's not just the title, it's what else?
It's everything. He got everything. And I'm coming to get it.
When you beat him, you'll have everything?
That's right.
That perspective reshaped the entire debate. Greatness, it suggested, isn't a single crown passed down, it belongs to time itself. And then came another wrinkle. Floyd's own uncle, Jeff Mayweather, reminded everyone of the context. Floyd was 36 when he fought a young, hungry Canelo. He was past his prime, already fighting the clock. Comparing that version of Floyd to a peak Crawford facing a seasoned Canelo wasn't fair. It was like comparing to kings ruling in different centuries.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So.
What was Canelo? What? 20-something? 20 what? 23? 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
man, that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people, but
how you at the top of your career in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you're at 36.
That framing flipped the conversation. Not who wins head-to-head, but who reigns supreme over their own thrones in boxing history.
We've had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
yes,
fight.
Yes, sir. I love you, Terrence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in that
sense is crazy. The funny thing about it is Terrence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
But you gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody else? Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody got to pioneer,
right?
Yeah, you got to.
There's an OG you can't out figure out somewhere, and I just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out-figure out.
Yet, even with all the comparisons, one undeniable fact rises above everything else. Terence Crawford achieved something Floyd Mayweather never did. Something no man in boxing history had done before.
In accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
By conquering Canelo, Crawford became the first male fighter ever to hold undisputed championships in 3 separate weight divisions. It was monumental. So monumental, in fact, that Turkish businessman and boxing influencer, Turki Alalshik, instantly declared Crawford the fighter of the century. To put that in perspective, Mayweather won titles in 5 divisions. Yes, but he was never undisputed in any of them. Crawford didn't just win belts, he collected them all. 3 times over, every single one. His camp, laser-focused on strength and endurance, prepared him for the storm Canelo would bring. The victory cemented him in history books forever. But legacies are built in different ways. Mayweather's wasn't just inside the ring. He was the CEO of his own empire. As Max Kellerman put it, after leaving lightweight, Floyd's career became a blueprint in strategic matchmaking. He chose opponents, chose timing, chose circumstances. Every risk had to equal the reward.
It's wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, then I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times.
But this strategy came at a price. The new generation saw it differently. Ryan Garcia didn't hold back, accusing Floyd of changing the sport for the worse. Garcia claimed Mayweather perfected the art of waiting, of knowing when to face opponents and when to avoid them, robbing fans of seeing Floyd against fighters at their absolute peak.
Y'all talking about this kid Ryan Garcia. Tank got his followers from kicking ass. Ryan Garcia got his followers from YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
How did Gervonta know that my rib got separated while I was in the fight? Or before the fight? How do you think they got the information? You gotta pay. Who do you think told me that they paid? So I know how much money it takes to betray Ryan Garcia. I know a little glimpse.
Crawford's path couldn't be more different. He wasn't selective, he was relentless. Willing to fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. And the numbers back it up. 1 inch taller, a 3-inch reach advantage. Physical tools that even a prime Mayweather would have struggled to neutralize. Crawford's resume reads like a list of victims called out and conquered. Beyond mentality, beyond fearlessness. Analysts like Shane Mosley pointed out the clear physical advantages Crawford brought into every war.
I think Crawford is better. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. But Mayweather is definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
And so the contrast became clear. Mayweather was the architect building a fortress no one could penetrate. Crawford was the conqueror storming into hostile territory and planting his flag. Yet not everyone is willing to compare the two. A vocal camp in boxing insists the comparison is empty. One analyst even cut deep, saying, Crawford is not Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarity. The critics point to style. Crawford embraces chaos, drops his hands, sticks his tongue out, trades in the pocket. Mayweather, he lived in the shadows. Faster, sharper, defensively flawless. To those critics, the comparison is nothing but hype, born from a desperate search for the next king. And while the ring provided fireworks, the fight outside, it added fuel to the flames. Whispers of scandal swirled before the first bell. The appointed judges, the same trio that scored Manny Pacquiao's controversial draw. Fans feared bias. Then came the betting drama. Streamer Adin Ross placed $1 million bet on Canelo only to mysteriously switch to Crawford. At the last second, after a phone call, he refused to explain. The accusations of insider trading ignited conspiracy theories that still burn today.
Jordan was switching the bat.
Huh?
Where Catholic switching our bad.
What? What you mean?
No.
Don't stay with Canelo.
We're going Crawford.
If
he's saying that, everybody.
And so, the legend of Crawford's victory only grew. But where does that leave the debate? On one side stands Floyd Mayweather, the undefeated genius, the businessman, the untouchable artist. On the other, Terence Crawford, the undisputed conqueror of 3 divisions, the fearless warrior who beat every man placed before him. Stephen A. Smith's words echo like a warning. This debate isn't just about fighters. It's about the definition of greatness itself. Is greatness perfection without flaws? Or is it walking through fire, taking damage, and still conquering everything in your path? The truth may never be settled, but one thing is certain. Both men forced the world to rethink what was possible inside a boxing ring. So, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss the next one. And now, the question is yours: who do you believe is the greater fighter?